I got to check out the OnePlus Open early, and by far this is the best big foldable phone I've used. And the form factor on this phone feels the most finished out of all of them. The edges are a bit sharper, so it kind of feels like I'm holding a thicker iPhone 14 Pro. They are two colors and both of them have different finishes. The black one has the leather touch feel and the green one, or the emerald, has that smooth matte glass touch. They do provide a case in a box, which is really slim and it has the same touch and feel as the black one. When I'm using this camera on this phone, it reminds me of the Oppo Find X6 Pro, which currently I think is one of the best well-rounded cameras on any phone. And what's different about OnePlus Open's camera module is it's the first folding smartphone to use Sony's new image processor. And they're saying that this new sensor can compete with the 1-inch sensors on the top-of-the-line smartphones out today. They also say it's pixel stacked, which is basically being able to take in a lot of light, which can help you in better low-light photos, better dynamic range, and better image quality without needing a larger sensor. And that is the new main 48 megapixel camera. Now for the ultra-wide camera, it's also 48 megapixels and it's a half-inch sensor. Moving on to telephoto, it's 64 megapixels and it's also half-inch, which is the largest sensor to be on a foldable phone. As a matter of fact, it's also bigger than most of the telephoto lenses on regular phones. It gives you 6x lossless zoom, and it can zoom all the way up to 120x. So basically, this camera system is a beast on a foldable phone. For reference, the Galaxy Z Fold 5 can zoom up to 30x. So what is my take on the camera experience on this phone? And so far, it's really good and I enjoy it. Of course, zooming up to 120x will not give you the best results like all phones out there, but you can get a nice good natural bokeh with the main camera lens. And I'm more amazed how well it looks during low light. So I took this picture alongside with the iPhone 14 Pro, and the highlights on the OnePlus looks a lot better. During this day, we got the opportunity to go on a boat and basically get close to the Statue of Liberty during nighttime. And there are no lights out there. We're just on a moving boat that has lights, but what we're shooting, basically it's just really dark. And whatever is lighting up is super bright, so usually what you see on phones after you take pictures is really overexposed highlights. But I was amazed how well these pictures came out on a moving boat in the nighttime. But it's not perfect all the time. There are pictures that will miss or be slightly blurry, but by far I was shocked how good the 6x lossless zoom pictures came out, especially during these low light situations. So for photo taking, I don't feel like you're sacrificing anything just because it's a foldable phone. There is a very obvious feature with this phone is being able to use that dual screen, so the person you're taking a picture of can actually see what it looks like. Now there is another option where you can only just turn on the front screen, so the big screen on the back is basically blank, which I find it low-key as my favorite feature since I find it awkward when people walking towards me are looking at my phone screen just to see what I'm doing. Now for video, shooting during daylight looks pretty good like most phones. It does feel pretty weird when I'm shooting video with the phone fully opened, and personally I think I look weird shooting. But you do get a bigger screen and I feel like I'm slightly more stabilized. But looking at the stabilization overall, I think it can be improved. And I do like how I can get that little background blur shooting with the main camera lens easily. And if you're vlogging, the phone does make it easy since you can see yourself. But just for vlogging, I personally prefer the smaller foldables since the flip factor is easier to place it down anywhere and being able to angle yourself or angle the shot. For low light video, I would say it's pretty average, especially when you have no lights, but of course the quality gets a lot better when you're in the city where there's tons of lights. Obviously, if you switch to the ultra wide, that's where you see a lot of noise and I wouldn't really recommend it, so just stick with the main camera lens. I do want to test out these cameras versus regular flagship phones and see how well these camera modules do. Now for everyday use, since the form factor is so great, it feels like I'm using a regular phone, like I said, just slightly thicker. And it feels so nice not having a chunky brick in your pocket. When you're watching something, it's nice to have that bigger screen, and if you want to work at the same time, you can actually do that without feeling too cluttered. And even playing games, it's so hard to go back playing on a smaller screen after this. When I open a phone, it's really satisfying and it just snaps in place. Now there is a caveat though. If you just want to slightly angle it, you really can't do that since it just naturally goes into its place. So it can be bothersome when you want to put this phone down and just slightly angle it towards yourself because it really can't do that. But you can do it to a certain degree, you just have to know when to stop it. And then there's the crease, which I can barely feel it and see it versus the Fold 5. By far physically and just using the camera, this is a keeper in my books. For the software, OnePlus is fairly simple in their OS, so that's really personal preference if you like it or not. Personally, I don't have any problems with it at all. Now for the price, this phone goes for $1,699. Now you do get at least a 200 $200 trading credit with any phone in any condition. It can be broken, shattered, or burnt, you can still get that credit. And this only applies on their website. This offer isn't going away anytime soon, so don't worry, it's gonna be throughout the whole product's life cycle. Right now, this is the big foldable phone I'll recommend out of all the ones available in the States. So what are your thoughts on the OnePlus Open, especially at that price point? But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.